cars, which are prevalent now, you know, the cars with over 100 miles of driving range, they make it easier to get along through life with level 1 charging than ever before, because you can drive, say, 200 miles on Sunday and then drive 40 miles every day of the week after that and still be full again next weekend.
Yeah.
As you gradually make up your deficit every night.
I see. Wonderful. Okay, great.
Okay.
Very encouraging. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's about time we kick things off. Ryan is recording. I see we've been joined by Chad Schwitters, Steve McGinnis, Brian Hughes. Ed Mills is not really there. And Gary. Looks like John Whalen made it in. He is our surprise guest celebrity. Has consented to give us an update on the Silver Streak Insight project, which you may recall is a Honda Insight powered by a genuine GM EV1 motor that he bought right across the parts counter at GM before they knew better. So it'll be exciting to hear about that, and we'll get a legislative update from Grace. And Grace, is our town crier available to call the meeting to order?
Yes, indeed. Take it away, Kevin.
Oyez, 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 all persons having business before this august body, unmute yourselves, you will be heard. The Honorable Jay Donaway presiding, all rise. All set. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and welcome to this first SEVA meeting of 2021. The world seems to be getting calmer again, maybe only for a brief period, but it's been an interesting week. We have new members coming in on a regular basis. Thank you very much, but we don't have an active membership chair at the moment, so I'll just ask people to take note, try to sign on the EAA website if they can, and like SEVA, EAA has elections going on right now. So if you are a member of the National Electric Auto Association, please do your duty and vote there. That organization is in a bit of a rebuilding phase after the loss of the president this past year. So why don't we get right into it? Grace, tell us what happened. The legislature has opened. What are we going to do about it?
Oh, I was going to let John go first, but
all right.
I'll make it
John's
short.
got his logo up. Are you ready to go, John? If he can unmute himself. There he is.
Hold on.
Well, yeah, let's let John do his thing. I think people want to listen to him.
I would agree.
All right, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm new to this Zoom thing. I'm kind of an idiot, so bear with me, okay?
You're a ghost in the works. I love that effect.
Okay, so if I turn, let's see, I guess I have to turn on the video, right? Let me see here. Let me see if this works. Is that working?
No, we had the EV2 screen background.
Oh, there we go.
Your ghastly face.
All right, hold on. Somebody help me. What do I do here?
The silver screen is for your background doesn't work very well.
Okay.
That's fine. Your background's fine.
There you go. Now we got. Oops. No. Turn off the background.
Turn off the background?
No, that's all right. Your background is just your virtual thing. You're wanting to put a video on.
Okay, well, see, stop video. What do I do, guys? Help me out here.
Well, stop video is just you on the regular screen. But if you want to share, what is it? Share. You got somebody else has to help here.
Okay.
See where it says stop video down the corner?
No.
You got mute, stop video. Are you on a Windows or an Apple?
No,
I tell you what, I don't want to bore everybody with this. I'll go offline for a second and have my girlfriend help me with this.
Okay.
So you got to just turn off the virtual background.
No, let's stop. No, he wants to put another video on besides himself on the.
Well, you can do that. That's called sharing. Okay.
So who has screen sharing authority? Is that you, Jay?
That is me.
So I guess you want to give John Whalen a screen sharing.
Yeah,
Or
I'll have to wait for him to log back in. Or,
Still there.
no, he's still there. No, he is still there, yes.
he says he'll get his girlfriend to help him out.
You gotta turn off the virtual background. The silver doesn't like it. It doesn't like silver.
That has nothing to do with that. That's just the virtual background.
I know it. But
It actually could have something to do with it. Some graphics cards really don't work very well with some backgrounds.
So that's all I have on is my virtual background. I don't have my camera. But
yeah. Turn that off.
why do I want to turn it on?
Because silver doesn't work very well in a virtual background.
Okay, well, if we could take Tech Assist into the chat box, and while we're waiting for John to get sorted out, maybe Grace could go ahead.
So you look like a ghost. See,
Well,
You guys hearing me?
so
Yeah, I thought it looked
Philip,
like
did
John
you
was
give
back.
John
Oh, there he
the
is. Yeah.
share screen capability?
John Wayland is now co-host, which will enable screen sharing.
So now you can screen share there, John Whalen. You have a video.
Okay. We see your ghastly image, John, but we'd love to hear you. You're muted.
where did it go now?
Kidding.
Okay, Maria's trying to help me with the background, so we'll be right back.
Very good.
Okay.
You're doing fine.
Just go down to stop video and hit the arrow and turn it off.
Grace, would you mind giving an update while John continues to work on his tech?
Yeah, sure.
Thank
There's
you.
a lot going on. Politics is kind of a busy place these days. The Washington State legislative session did start yesterday. Legislators were in person down in Olympia, figuring out how they're going to do a remote work session. And most of the sessions and hearings will be done remotely. And you'll be able to log in on your computer and provide testimony.
Oh.
We do have a whole guidance for how that can be done. You do still have to sign up in advance and everything, but you won't be driving to Olympia to go and talk about any of the bills that are going up. We do have 7 bills that I've been tracking that might be of interest to you this year. I'm most excited about the new one that sets an additional alternative fuel vehicle registration fee. Now you might say, what? We were already paying 2 fees. Why would we want a different one, another one? Well, this one is for electric motorcycles. Fantastic. And it changes the $150 a year fee to $30 a year. So that is going to be a huge thing. I know there's a number of people out there with electric bikes that would really like to not be paying the $150. And I know that the manufacturers and the sales people would love to have that fee cut back because motorcycles are paying way more than their fair share for the gasoline tax. Senator Rolfs is sponsoring this in the Senate. It has been referred to the Senate Transportation Committee. It has not been scheduled for a hearing yet, so we're going to have to watch for when that comes up, and I hope we'll have a lot to be able to say about that because we have been pushing for this for years, and it looks like it's finally happening. So that not to be a very heavy lift. We ought to be able to just zoom that through. So let's make sure we put all our efforts behind getting that one through.
Do you have that bill number?
Yes, I do. Senate Bill 5085.
Thank you.
And I will send out a list of the bills that we're tracking. I'll send out the email list too and let you know which ones are coming up for hearings too. The one that's coming up for a hearing right away tomorrow at 8 a.m. creates a different sales and use tax exemption for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. This is Senate Bill 5000. And as you know, electric cars have had their little sales tax exemption, which of course, you know, has gone a lot of different places since it originally came out. This one is sponsored by Senator Hawkins from Wenatchee and co-sponsored by Lovelit. It is now in the Senate Environment, Energy, and Technology Committee. And here's a few details about it. What it's going to do is exempt qualified fuel cell vehicles from 50% of the sales tax, or for used vehicles, it'll exempt all of the sales tax up to a vehicle that costs $16,000. This would start on July 1, 2022. And it would expire after 8 years or after 650 vehicles have used that exemption. So it's a real small number. It's just trying to see if there is a market and to try to push on another alternative fuel. I personally am not a big fan of hydrogen fuel cells because I think that they're not nearly as efficient as direct battery electric vehicles. And it's all about efficiency and sustainability. But there is a certain number of people who think that that is the future and that's the way to go. So it would be good to have some kind of incentive for alternatives out there, possibly. Anybody has thoughts about that? Then tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. is when the hearing is. Also, that was Senate Bill 5000. We're also looking at House Bill 1075. That is requiring ride-hailing services to reduce vehicle emissions. House members Barry and Fitzgibbon are sponsoring that one. It does come up for a hearing in the House Environment and Energy Committee at 10 a.m. on January 15th, so in about 3 days. What it would do is require the providers, people who are providing ride-hailing services such as Lyft and Uber, to report annually about vehicle miles traveled and the greenhouse gas emissions that they are releasing. They would be reporting to the Department of Energy. And then it would require those providers to develop greenhouse gas emission reduction plans by 2024. So it's not anything that's right away. It's not going to be like new fees or anything like that, but it's just saying, hey, those people should be taking some responsibility for the greenhouse gases and moving more toward electric. So let's hope that that's what happens. It doesn't specifically say, yeah, replace your cars with electric ones, but we know that there's already movement toward doing things like that. So this one might be a good one to really push and say, yeah, we can do a lot with that. Because after all, when people see ride-hailing services, they're driving up to them with electric cars, gets them a lot more interested in electric vehicles. And the more you see them on the road, the more you're going to want to do that yourself. Then let's see, we also have Senate Bill 6586. That was left from last year. That is the per mile charge on electric and hybrid vehicles, basically the road use charge. That one has not yet been introduced this session, although it's expected to come back. Senator Saldana probably will be taking the lead on that one. We haven't seen it yet, so it might be going through some revisions. The latest revision I saw did not set a specific per mile charge. It just left that up to Department of Transportation to determine what that charge is going to be. So we'll have to watch that one and see what comes out of that and if it actually comes back. We do have the low carbon fuel standard bill that is going to come up for a hearing as well this week. It has been introduced, sponsored by Representative Fitzgibbon, House Bill 1091, and it is now in the House Environment and Energy Committee. So hearing on the 14th, that's in 2 days at 1:30. And what it's going to do is ask the DOE to establish a clean fuels program requiring reduction of greenhouse gas emissions to 10% less than 2017 levels by 2028, and then 20% less than 2017 levels by 2035. So that's a good deal of reduction. It's not saying how we should do it, but saying DOE needs to figure it out and create a bankable, tradable credit system so that people could trade credits and be able to do overall reductions. It does exempt exported fuel, so the fuel that we are making here at our refineries in Washington. Electricity production would not have to pay into this, and fuel used by planes, trains, and boats would not have to pay either. So that are some really big exemptions there to be able to get people to buy into this. We'll see if that goes anywhere, but anybody who wants to chime in on that low carbon fuel standard, that is definitely getting some traction this session. We also have the Washington Climate Commitment Act. That's kind of a companion type of thing sponsored by Senator Saldana and Carlisle. And that's going to create the cap and trade program, as well as a task force to make recommendations for a comprehensive, coordinated statewide climate action program. That's recommended by the governor's office, of course. Senate Bill 5126 is coming up for a hearing next week, January 19th at 10:30 a.m. So anybody who wants to get in on that climate plan, that's the one to do. One more that we definitely want to track is called the Clean Cars 2030 bill. And that is the bill that would ban the sale of gas cars in Washington by 2030. That's the folks at Cultura have been pushing this one. It was introduced last session as House Bill 2515. It has not yet been introduced this session. Apparently a few small revisions are being made right now, but it's supposed to be ready for in June. And there'll be a new bill number this year, most likely. But we're going to watch to see what happens with that one because it did get some traction last year, but it was going to probably take 2 or 3 years of pushing this in order to be able to get it through. So SEVA has already signed on to this and said, yes, we're willing to support this. So I would definitely encourage people to jump onto that one and make your thoughts heard when that does come up for it too. Any questions from anyone at this point?
I'll be curious to see the Cultura edits, but the last version of the bill was not nearly as draconian as it sounds, and there was a nice ramp down period built in, and lots of exemptions for commercial vehicles and those where an equivalent EV does not exist, et cetera, but it was a pretty good goal setting exercise. I
have another fun number for you. I just heard today that as of November of 2020, the state of Washington now has 63,800 electric vehicles registered in the state. So very happy to hear that we are exceeding our goal. The governor's goal was 50,000 cars by last year, and we definitely went past that. So good news. We're making progress. Yep. Cool.
John Wayland, are you ready to take the mic?
I'm here.
All right.
So
I think this is a really cool effect.
You're going to have to deal with the ghost of Wayland. Isn't that kind of how it looks?
I think if you turn off your virtual background, you look better.
No,
he looks great.
Have you see more of the background, less of me?
Sure.
So how was everybody?
We's busy here. Real busy at EV Works.
Well, good. Well, it's good to hear from everybody again. It's kind of missed the old car shows this year, but you know, last year, but maybe things will get better.
So tell us about EV2.
Well, after a 10-year gestation period, it is finally running. It's not on the road right now. It's still up on blocks. I'm finalizing lots of little details, but it runs, and I expect to be driving it in a couple weeks.
Well, we saw the pictures that you put on the EV list. That was quite impressive. How everything was nicely labeled and.
Well, thank you. You know, I'm kind of a detail freak, so I've worked really hard to make it look as if maybe it could have come from Honda this way.
Yeah, it did.
And a lot of convincing the computers in the car to get along with me. You know, there were so many challenges to do all the little weird things that I wanted to work. So, you know, I'll take any questions about it, but I don't have a lot more to add other than it's just kind of exciting to finally, you know, get this project that started clear back in 2011 going again.
Well, for those who aren't familiar with it, could you run over the basic stats again and talk about why it's called EV2 and
Sure,
what
sure.
components are in there?
Sure. It's kind of a little known secret that Honda actually copied the body shape and style of the EV1 when they came up with the first generation Honda Insight. They copied the narrower track and back. They copied the teardrop shape. They copied the, you know, the fender skirts. It was basically their version of the EV1, except for they were poo-pooing electrics back then. Shame on them, and they went with the hybrid thing. And then of course we all know what happened with the EV1, and then you know, GM had the right to do what they did, but you know, societal wise it was not the greatest move. So this car is to show GM what maybe could have been had they kept the EV1 going, and it's to show Honda which way they probably should have gone rather than pushing hybrids and actually making fun of electric cars in their early commercial. So it's kind of a special project in that regard. But the whole EV2 thing, I was back in 2011, I was trying to keep my blog up, and I wanted to show a head-to-head picture of the cars. I think some of you may have seen that on my limited web page that I have on it. And when I had the two images of the cars facing each other, I was tasked with, well, I have to get them in scale. You know, I want to make sure it's an accurate picture. So I just lassoed with the Photoshop tool a wheel, and I could have taken it from the Insight, but I took it from the EV1 and I would drag it over to the image of the Insight, and then I would adjust the car's image up and down until the wheels were exactly the same diameter. And it suddenly hit me, oh my goodness, with those EV1 circuit board look wheels, the Insight really does look like maybe what would have been an EV2. And then that started the ball rolling that I had to go looking for EV1 wheels, and that was a 3.5-year odyssey. So that's kind of what it's all about.
Yeah, Stephen Johnson ended up giving you one down there in Tucson.
Yeah, he certainly did. That was really quite a generous gift. And to take that story a step further, about a year ago, I have a friend in Colorado named Steve Hawkins. Do you guys know him?
No.
He's a
Steve Hawkins, but not that one, I don't think.
No, not the same one. But he's a collector of all rare and strange factory EVs that maybe didn't make it. You know, he's got a Nissan Altra. He's constructing EV1 parts in his garage, and he's been quite a resource. And evidently, a storage locker was opened by a lady that owned a storage facility, and there were some wheels left, and they went up for sale, and they showed up at the EV trading post, and they just disappeared. And it turned out that my friend Steve bought them, and he sent me 4 of them. So I actually have not only 4 of them on my car, but I have 4 spares now. So it's really weird how these strange parts show up. And the hardest part on the wheels was finding the center caps. I got mine from Australia. Isn't that weird?
Wow.
I have a friend from Australia who comes back and forth between Australia and the US, and he's also hunting down EV1 parts. And he somehow tracked down somebody who knew somebody whose father knew somebody's father, and 20 people down the line, but somebody had worked at the place that made the wheels, and they were shutting down, and they were destroying the wheels. And this employee asked if they could take home some memorabilia, and he took home 2 boxes of the center caps that everybody's looking for. I ended up actually getting the elusive center caps after 3.5 years. So the wheels and tires on the car are like a really big deal that really help the car be more efficient. but it was the fun trying to get everything that kind of makes the story more entertaining, I think. And everything on this car has been that way. There hasn't been anything really easy about it.
So what do you think? It's about a 400-mile car, a normal drive?
I think, I'll answer it this way. You said normal drive. Under ideal conditions, according to all the math that I've done and the comparisons I've done and talking with people who I respect that would probably counter me if they thought I was wrong, it actually will go about 450 miles at 60 miles an hour on level ground if everything was ideal. Just driving it normal and easy 400, I would think. We'll see.
Okay. Like to see pictures of the battery packs inside the car in the back.
Well, I'm working on my archaic website. We're going to redo some things and make it a little bit more modern. And there's going to be a lot of detail posted in a few weeks on a page for the Silversteak project. But I could also send a few if people are interested to the SEVA list. I just don't want to bombard people with too much stuff.
Okay.
Oh, bring it on, please. And John, do you know whatever happened to that EV1 that was hiding under a sheet in a corner of Don Blazer's shop?
No, I don't. I do know of a few EV1s, but I'm really not at liberty to talk about them. But there are handfuls of people that are doing things.
Hey, John, this is Kent Bucky.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Good to see you. Or what of you I can see.
Yeah, it's like the ghost, you know.
Have you had a chance to weigh it in its converted form?
No, and I'm really excited to try that out. I am projecting it'll be hopefully as light as 2850 and as heavy as 2950. I doubt that it'll go over 3,000. I've been pretty careful about it. My goal is to be about 100 to 200 pounds lighter than the EV1 was, just because.
And what's the kilowatt hour of the pack?
71.6.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it's conservative. The Kokum is, they're one of the few battery cell makers that are conservative in their specs. The build sheet on my cells were all exceeding the 75 amp hours that they were actually rated at. So we'll see.
What voltage are you operating at?
318.2.
That's precise enough.
Well, and of course, with these cells, you can do a 100% discharge and not hurt them. They are very, very good cells. So, we can squeeze as much as we want, I guess.
So what's the series parallel configuration of those cells?
3P86S. So, as you guys all know, I come from the racing, scene, and it's kind of ironic that this pack can get out as much amperage as it can because this car will never use it. But would you like to know what it's capable of?
Why, sure.
10-second rating is about 3,600 amps.
Mamma mia.
I know. And the continuous is 1,800 amps. And of course, the maximum current draw is going to be 450 amps. That's kind of fun. But, the cells won't even warm up. They're going to be on easy street.
Yeah.
And speaking of temperature, as everybody knows, the most important thing with the battery pack is to keep the cell temperature as equal as you can especially if you have modules that are split up like I do. So there's a front module and there's two mid modules. And, if you're going down the road, the front module is going to be subject to whatever the temperature is outside. So let's say it's 30 degrees out. So it's going to be trying to get cooled off. Where the pack that's right underneath the hatch floor might be at 70 or 80 degrees because you're inside the car with the heater on. So I have a closed loop air circulation system that is always moving the air between all of the compartments. And because the lithium cell is made of copper and aluminum, which are great heat sinks, and then the tabs hook up to aluminum pads, whatever module might be warm, that warm air will come back to the cool modules, and you get the idea. It should maintain pretty equal temperature. And it does that also during charge. And then in really cold temperatures, it has an air heater that will warm up the pack as well.
So no liquid cooling in the battery pack, just active air cooling.
Yeah, but it's very effective with the Kokum cells because of the heat sinking capability of the big, and these tabs are very big that come up through the top. There's a lot of surface area that the air, takes down into the cell. So if you were to send warm air into it, it almost immediately warms the cell up.
Well, I like that use of a current collector as a heat sink too.
Yep.
All
And
right.
it is set up, but not finished yet, to take advantage of Catamo DC fast charging, although I don't have the port yet. But the Orion BMS is all set up to handle that. So that's something I'll be doing in the future.
Okay. I have a spare port that I could probably make you a deal on.
I'm very interested in it. You want to send me an email? We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Thank you. That'd be great. I'd really appreciate that.
Hey, John, can you drop a link to those cells in the chat so I can just look at the specs on them?
Say that again. I can drop a link where?
In the chat of the Zoom here for the cells.
Oh God, you're going to ask me to do that. No, I can, no, I don't think I know how to do that, and you don't want to endure me trying to figure that out. But I'd be happy to send a link to the cells to somebody's email or a text message.
Yeah, you could do that. If anyone wants some super high performance, new old stock Kokum cells, our friend in Texas with the Zombie 222 was still sitting on a pallet of them as of last spring and was interested in unloading them.
Well, those are extremely rare, and that's news to me that he actually wants to move them.
Yeah, he told the SEVA delegation during our shop tour that he was ready to sell them.
Those are like unobtainium now. Those cells are the new version of what I have in the Zombie, and they're not going to be making those anymore.
Sad but true.
Speaking of which, how are the zombie cells doing?
It's amazing. People don't believe me when I tell it, but I'll just tell you, I see no degradation whatsoever after 13 years.
Yeah, okay.
And 13 years, and you guys know what kind of abuse I put them through, and I still have the same range. You put your foot down, it wrinkles the skin on your face. Everything seems to be fine. They're all in perfect equalization.
You don't have any problem cells?
No.
Oh, okay. Right.
No.
Did you take pains to store them at 40% state of charge, or?
Never. I almost always keep them almost 100%, about 90% or so.
Sins and shortcuts.
The Kokum cells really are different than a lot of other cells. They're very, very high quality cells.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us for this update.
Sorry for being the caveman of the group, but I'm not used to this Zoom stuff, so I apologize for that.
Well, do you remember the EV1 commercial where there was a big brotherish face looking over the crowd?
No.
Oh, you are the EV1 commercial that very few ever saw.
Yeah, you're the ghost.
There we go. There we go. Well, I look forward to the day that we can all get together in person again. I really enjoy hanging out with you guys in the summertime. So thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, good seeing you, John.
Hey, John, if there's a chance that we can do a car show this summer, maybe there's a chance you can drive it up here. We'd sure all love to see it.
I would
Not even for a
love
show,
to do that.
Anytime you're in town, let us
We'll
know. We'll
make that
make
happen
an event.
somehow.
All right. One last question, John. Is your antique three-wheel forklift still running?
You know what? I offloaded that, about 5 years ago. But yes, it's still running.
Okay. Well, you did inspire me, and I picked up a free three-wheel forklift off of Craigslist. And sure enough, they had just parked it in the corner till the battery died and then didn't know what to do with it. So some salvage lithium, and we were off to the races.
Wow, that's forklifts are really handy to have. I have such a small shop, I didn't have much room for mine.
Yeah, this was a 1975 Crown that has no issues otherwise.
Well, that's who I work for. When I worked as a forklift tech, we were a Crown dealer, so that's a great forklift.
Yep.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
All right. A celebrity visit. Speaking of celebrities, I see Teresa Rumsdale there biting her tongue. You have something to tell us?
I was going to say, yes, we do have a couple of virtual events coming up, which is our virtual annual meeting for the club, since we're now Tesla Owners Washington for a year officially now.
I don't know how to turn it off.
And then also we have a virtual wine tasting coming up at the end of the month.
How does one do a virtual wine tasting?
Well, because you'll order the wines from us and they'll get shipped to you from the winery. And it's my friend's winery in Olalla. And and then she sends them off to the registrants, and she gives us a demo and walks us through the wines as we drink them from the comfort of our home.
I think there'll be a lot more drinking than at a normal wine tasting.
Yes, because you get 3 full-size bottles. So yeah, it's not your typical 1-ounce wine tasting anymore. Yeah.
What we'll come up with next. All right.
Exactly. Yes. And then Tesla is wanting us to do more and more virtual online orientations for owners, since they can't do their in-person ones when they take deliveries now. So we've got lots and lots and lots of those coming up. And soon we're all going to be on one platform with Tesla, so you can find all of the clubs worldwide.
Oh, nice.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Increasingly insane stock valuations. Any burning news from Tesla?
Not on that, unfortunately.
Okay. I've become a fan of the Tesla Daily podcast by Rob Maurer.
Oh yes.
The best.
Oh yes.
I found.
Yes, we update each other on text messages every morning as to how the stock's doing and closing and starting, and so it's a fun ride.
You're right. You're right. Okay.
It's absolutely crazy. It's unbelievable. I would like to know if any other stock has ever done that before, this kind of rise. If there's any kind of history like that.
Yeah, not that I can remember in all of our stock portfolio stuff, that's for sure.
We had Ryan says Amazon. I sure wish I had bought it instead of what I spent the money on in 2000. Well, we've had our legislative update for a reminder that we've got our election coming up, and we're going to need to do a call for nominations is open, as our election is next month. Has anyone given thought to serving as the treasurer? Because we need one. It's a simple job. The duties are clear and few, but very important. So don't all jump in at once.
Somebody volunteer.
Yes. And Mark will be nice and promise to only mentor you if you volunteer.
Well, I can't help.
Hi, Jay. Let me just say, as a new visitor here, we have another thing we got to go to. So it was wonderful to meet you all. And maybe if, let's see, I left it. What is the email or something, the contact info for your group? What? Oh, we have it. Okay, we already have it. Good.
I'd encourage you to join the discussion list, or if you're a Facebooker, get on our forum there. And great place to ask questions as you pick out your first EV.
Okay, Jay. Thanks an awful lot. Appreciate it.
Bye. Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Charlie Sy. I guess I'd be willing to volunteer for treasurer.
Oh.
All right, Charlie.
You already know how to take input from your mark, so that's an even better bonus. I'm going to make a welfare visit to Brian in the very near future and beat on his door some more and try to extract documentation from him.
Okay.
Dropped out of society for a while. Okay, Charlie. And you're probably a BCU member already.
Yeah, yes, I am.
That's where we keep all of our fundage, and we've got another $500 check on the way from the Seattle Foundation. Another
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. Oh, Gibran, you keep rising to the top of my screen. How's that Ranger project coming along?
Well, I made quite a bit of progress since we spoke last month. I got the pack finished, wired up, and installed, and I took several of the pieces of advice I received from you all and tried to apply them as best as I could. Came up with a little bit of a new system for providing the cells some vertical support. I think Brian mentioned that. So I templated out some plywood spacers that went vertical, that when the lid went on, it sort of kept the cells from being able to go either kind of left or right. Put my little iPhone in there and recorded it, and it looked like it was pretty tight and pretty snug. It's a little hard with all those bus bars, you know. It took me about 5.5 hours maybe to wire up the Orion BMS to 106 cells and get all those bus bars on it. I worked on it for about an hour and a half at a time, and then, you know, my shoulders were sore from hunching over, and my feet were cold from being on the garage floor after that, you know, after that amount of time. But we put the pack back in it on December 23rd, and I started driving it right away. I did a lot of short trips initially, charges. It's taken a charge good. It's been great. I actually drove it up to Marysville today, which for me was about a 56-mile round trip, and went through the state patrol inspection. Some of you that heard last month, it was, I bought it as a salvage vehicle with no title at a junkyard because they sort of didn't know what it was, and didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I dubbed myself the accidental EV owner because I just sort of on a whim bought it. So I got the VIN inspection today, and I've got license plates on it now, and the title's on the way in the mail.
All right.
Fully legal. Congratulations. That is,
Yeah, that's a
amazing
big
story.
relief.
Have you posted some fresh YouTube videos in the past month? I'll confess I haven't looked.
Yeah, I posted a video from the first couple drives after, and one of, I think, me putting the pack in a little wiring. I talked about how I like wired up the BMS. Oh, and I rented the cell validator from Orion because I ended up buying 2 new harnesses because my harnesses had been cut pretty short, and I didn't want to put splices in there and have to worry about, you know, crimp failures or anything like that. So I thought 2 new harnesses from you were waiting on shipping. I might as well rent the cell validator, and that gave me a bit of confidence before plugging all those harnesses into that, you know, $1,500 or whatever Orion BMS that I had.
Yeah. Well, that's huge, and you made more rapid progress on that mystery truck resurrection than just about any DIY project I can think of in recent SEVA history. That was impressive. Chad, you are looking at us in a very stern manner. What are we to make of that, Mr. Schwitters?
I'm a very stern person.
All right. No news of the weird?
Nothing.
Sound like Darth Vader. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Bakke, for your continued attendance. We have 2 of Kent's vehicles in process here in the shop, getting some crazy new electric GT batteries that just hit the shop floor today. Always fun to have an unboxing event.
Oh, tell us about those batteries. I know he just started advertising. What was the name of them?
They're calling them the Ox batteries.
Ox batteries, okay.
And as far as manufacturer go, they bear strong resemblance to the batteries, I want to say made by Electric Blue or EV Blue in Japan that are primarily used in Honda plug-in hybrids. The construction of the modules is extremely durable with a welded aluminum case and then holes through the 4 corners that you can just pass all thread through. They're not designed to be stacked one on top of the other, but we figured out how to do so with some spacers. And they've got just incredible energy density and power density numbers.
They have two different types of cells, though.
Yep.
Okay.
But they're quite competitive cost and performance wise when looked at comparing to used Model S modules. And since they're about the size of a shoebox, they're a lot easier to work with. And
Per kilowatt hour?
SEVA BMS, Zero Emission Vehicle Australia.
So who assembles the pack? Electric GT, or they buy them like that?
The modules they buy pre-assembled. The pack we got, the ones we got today, were in their original copious amounts of polystyrene, custom polystyrene shipping spacers.
Okay.
But Electric GT just built some bus bars and a fancy contactor box that's a really nice piece of kit. I'm almost afraid to take the lid off of it. It's so nicely built, but you can get all your BMS and shunt and contactors all inside one, not quite completely splash proof box, but a nice tough splash resistant box.
So let me, I'll give everybody an update. I don't know if we covered this before, Jay, but if any of you remember a 1966 Volvo car that was converted with Dave Cloud about 8 years ago, it was 72 volts with an 8-inch DC motor. I think it had a curve. I don't remember if it had a curves controller anyway. Anyway, there were 100 amp hour batteries and they were been replaced already once. And anyway, so there's only 7.2 kilowatts in it. And the owner only really drove it around Seattle. We were going to go to a higher voltage, but I thought I'd try these batteries out before getting a new controller and going through all that. So we'll have 5 of these modules for a nominal 74, 76 volts, and it'll have about just under 11 kilowatts, so about almost 40% more. So that's the first one that they're working on there, and so looking forward to see how that works out, because it's a daily driver. And then we have a 76 or something Honda CDCC that's going to be 144 volts with also the same battery modules. And it has an AC 51 motor in it. So Jay would know when they might be on the road. My guess is, I don't have a guess, but it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Oh, the CDCC, what year Honda's that?
It's my nephew's. So I think it's like a 75, 76.
Oh, one of the first years of it.
It's the station wagon sort of looking thing.
Okay, I think it's probably the first year of the CDCC, somewhere around there.
Could be. So it's already got the motor in it and controller and that. So it needs wiring and the battery pack. So that's what they're doing.
51, you say?
Yes.
And then going to a transmission, or?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be a sweet little ride.
Should be.
Yeah. Jay, you're muted.
Sorry, were you guys able to see the little sneak preview that I just gave?
Yeah, I kind of saw it. Now, it was the yellow car, the Honda?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah.
And since Kent's on, we'll get a sneak preview of battery pack as well. The first layer of modules is installed in the box and being wired up.
Okay.
Handsome little Volvo.
Oh, what do they call it? B something or others? B19s or something? What?
This is a 544 model.
544. Okay.
Yeah, I think a B14 or B18 was sort of the engine. It also became the badge on the car, but I think it was the engine size. But anyway, it's one of those things.
Okay, all right. I always like that design.
And here's a Tangerine bus that's being converted.
Nice.
What's
with a
the plan?
Tesla drive unit.
Oh,
Nice.
That's what's going inside there.
oh, that's a small Tesla unit. So that's, what is that, 220 kilowatts?
Thereabouts, yeah.
So that'll get up and scoot.
Yeah. And here is our beautiful little forklift.
Okay. 3-wheel forklift. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, our agenda was a little bit thin tonight. Anybody else got something for the good of the order?
I think that we were expecting Andrea to share some results of the survey that she put out last month. I hope that she has a little bit more information for us.
Not really. I mean, I think what you had told people that it's going to be open through that next meeting. We got 33 people responding, but I didn't pull together the response because I thought we we're going to give people an opportunity to get more people. So 33 people seems kind of low when we know the when we know there's probably 300 people on that listserv, right? Is that right?
Well, cool. Yeah, there are certainly at least a couple hundred. We can certainly keep it open till the end of the month. And then we can compile results for our February meeting. Would that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. So anyone who hasn't, I can put the link in the Zoom meeting today. We'll send out again, both on Facebook and the listserv, and let me know if there's any other place. Just cut and paste it wherever you want. Send it to people that if you know that they're not on there and they might want to take the survey.
Yeah, we'll put it in the minutes as well. But yeah, we'll use all of our outlets and try to get as many more folks in there as possible. That would be great. Thanks.
Yeah, 33 just felt tiny.
Great.
Right. Thank you, Andrea, for continuing to ride herd on that survey.
Oliver Young, the British race car driver from Black Curve fame.
Yes.
Well, I saw a couple pictures on Facebook. He's building a new car, and I believe they're 4 axial flux motors, the same thing, the same 4 motors that they had in the current technology. It broke the record of 200 miles an hour. And then they have, at the very front of the car are 4 Cascadia Motion PM150 DZRs. So it's Oliver already said that it's going to be a 600 volt dragster. And so it's it's a dragster 2-frame car, and the 3 motors are right, kind of like what Dennis Berube did in the pickup. The motor is right there where the transmission is.
Okay.
And then it looks like he has some kind of a transmission behind. It doesn't look like it's a racing transmission, maybe something like a Liberty, a sequential transmission. Anyway, if I had to guess, I would guess it's a car that would be in the 7s.
For those of us who don't follow drag racing, so it sounds like Ollie Young beat old Don Garlitz to 200 miles an hour. What's become of Don's?
No, Steve Huff did.
Steve Huff was first, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what Don Garlitz is doing at this point. Have you heard anything, Charlie? Yeah, your mic off. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about anything that Don Garlitz might be doing.
Yeah.
The old swamp rat just slunk off into the darkness.
Yeah. So anyway, Oliver Young used to have the Black Current, and that was 3 inline series wound DC motors, and he crashed it, and so he started over again with the whole AC motor setup. Probably spending a lot more money too. So anyway, drag racing keeps on getting better. Yeah. I would be surprised he's in the low 7s, to tell you the truth, but because it's a tube frame car with all that kind of power. Yeah.
As we bring some new officer blood into SEVA, one position I was thinking of proposing was it could be a full-time job and then some to try and sort through all the chaff online as far as videos and weblogs and e-zines, et cetera, and podcasts. I think a useful purpose of our website and or Facebook page would be to post curated links. And our web deb has always asked for and received relatively few such links.
Explain curated links.
Links that have been reviewed by a knowledgeable person, so we're not just posting a bunch of junk. You know, trying to find relevant contact on YouTube is almost as painful as watching a Jack Rickard video to me.
Yeah, okay.
You know there's a morsel in there somewhere, but it's buried under piles and piles of whipped cream.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. If there's somebody out there who loves their YouTubing, maybe they could save a few relevant links and send them on to SEVA.
Thank you.
And I think in that vein that we probably need to come up with just a few brief guidelines about the things that we're willing to post.
Yeah.
Such as we don't want to just post advertisements, for instance. So let's keep away from that and go more with fan videos, especially things that are useful for people who are trying to decide to go electric. That probably should be our focus. But it'd be good to just have a few written guidelines that we can all agree upon.
Yeah. Dr. Evil there stroking her cat will enforce the rules, but she doesn't like to have to be the bad guy.
Well, thank you. As I said, I couldn't wait for people to tell me stuff to post, and you know, it's very little activity. And right now what we have is I just have RSS feeds out to Inside EVs, green car reports that come in, but there's a lot of stuff, and there's stuff being posted all the time, and it's just basically copies of what those guys are posting.
Yeah.
So no one sent me video. I've had people say that they were going to send me this, that, and the other, and nothing shows up. So I said I can't post stuff and make it look pretty if I have no content. And I'm not willing to be the content person. I simply have no time. I'm busy with what you see behind you, and very busy stroking my evil cat, Lucy.
So you're looking for some kind of approval before you post?
No, I'm not looking for approval. I'm looking for people to send me content.
Okay, well, I did send some content. I haven't seen it, but anyway, I'll do it.
What content?
It was the 10 years of EV development by the woman down in Oregon, English woman down in Oregon. Anyway,
what? Oh, Nikki Gordon Bloomfield.
Yeah.
I posted that video that
Oh,
you
you did?
sent me.
Okay.
Video. It's up there.
Okay.
It's in my favored. It's in the featured video of the month and also the video page. I did.
Okay, very good. Just took a while. Okay, all right. All right.
That's as close to a compliment as you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard you.
Speaking of new things, I wanted to put out there a question. I know that there are some new production EVs that are coming out this year, and some, hopefully some exciting things. I was wondering if anybody here or anybody you know is getting a new vehicle, such as, say, the new Ford Mach-E, for instance. And anybody who does or is acquiring new vehicles, or anybody who's getting one and wants to join us, I think it would be great to start featuring some new vehicles again, like we have done in the past. So just keep that in mind too.
Okay, so guidelines here. I just remember one from last week, and I don't know what it kind of falls into, but it was a comparison between the Mach-E and the Model Y, or the Model, yeah. And so I guess, does that fall into advertisement, or would that be a video that would qualify?
Well, if it comes from Ford or from Tesla, then I probably would be more like an advertisement, yes. If it comes from an independent party, such as Consumer Reports, absolutely that's something that we want to post.
Okay.
The Doug Monroe or Doug DeMuro reviews of new EVs, he did an entertaining Model 3 versus Mach-E style review. And
Okay.
he is geeky enough to appeal even beyond SEVA.
How do you spell his last name?
Monro.
Oh, Monroe. Okay.
Yeah, he's also on the board of Arco Motor.
Oh.
And who else is on the board of Arco Motor? Oh, that guy is.
It's Doug Demuro. Yes.
Yeah, and then the guy who does the young guy with the glasses he's always really hyped on Tesla. He's also on Arco Motor's board. Anyway, that was an interesting. Actually, Nikki Bloomfield did an interesting report on Arco Motor, and that was done the last week. So
Okay.
that was a pretty interesting one. I don't know if it would be worthy of putting on the.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Arco Motor was purposely not there. It was developed by a software engineer, and they're building it as if how you develop software. In other words, they're very careful not to try to create new product. They're trying to keep it as simple as possible. In fact, I think what they're just opening up a new facility down in the Oregon area, and Monroe's was helping him set up. But the whole idea is that they're going to keep things as simple as possible and try to achieve a lower price. So I like that concept, one of the things that they have with the Arco Motor is you still have the handlebar steering. Well, there's people who wanted to change their steering wheel, but you know what? It was too much of an engineering expense challenge, and so that's why they're keeping it the same. So anyway, the more I know about Arco Motor, the more I'm kind of excited about that company. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're at the end of our agenda. Of course, folks are welcome to hang online as long as they like. One last call for issues for the good of the order.
I have a question. Was someone supposed to second Charlie nominating his volunteership for treasurer? Are we following? I second it.
Okay, that's great.
Just saying. I mean, usually I'm waiting for the town crier to.
Well, the election for will be at the next meeting in February.
Oh, okay. Is that what you do?
Calling for nominations, and I guess it's not completely clear to me that they need seconds.
I mean, sometimes we've done. I don't know. Everything's so weird in Zoom land.
We have a nominee now.
And then,
okay. Well, thank you, Charlie.
Are you running it? Are you going to be the vice president again, or what's that?
That's true. The vice president position is open as well. So those two positions are going to be up for election. So yes, we are soliciting nominations for vice president as well as treasurer. And then in the past, the procedure we have used is during the annual meeting, we will call for nominations, and you can nominate yourself or you can nominate somebody else. And then we would get a second, and then we'd have discussion, and then we would vote on that. Now, because we're voting by Zoom, not by show of hands in the audience, we're going to have to discuss how we're going to be able to count the votes. So we will definitely come up with a procedure for that before our next meeting, so that we'll all be all ready to go at that point.
So on Zoom, there is that reactions thing, and I guess you could have people put a thumbs up if they're voting for.
There's a reactions, and there's also a yes and no on the participants list, which if that's configured for the purpose, you can actually do a tally with that. But I don't know how to configure that. But if there was only one candidate and somebody can figure it out, then we could have yes and no, that candidate is approved.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah, that's a cool thing. It's a toy.
Yeah, there's several ways to do it. We'll just figure out what's going to be the best.
Well, I have a question for Grace, which is, are you eligible to accept a term starting February?
Well, I did review the bylaws just to make sure of that. I thought that we were limited to 2 consecutive terms, but actually our bylaws is 5 consecutive terms.
Yeah.
So that's actually, a 2-year term. That's 10 years.
Yeah,
Seems
nobody.
like a lot to me. I don't think any of us want to serve as an officer for 10 years.
Nobody's
Then Steve Lowe, of course. But.
Well, I don't know. I've lost track of how many years you did serve, Grace, but I will nominate you right now.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure of that. I think I filled an unfilled term and then another term. So yeah, I've been doing it for a little while, but not that long. Not 10 years yet.
Okay,
Not
well,
10
will
years,
Jay
but
call
Grace
for a
has 10
second to the nomination?
Second. There, see?
Thank you very much, both of you. I'm afraid we don't get to vote till next meeting, but we will.
We're practicing. We're practicing.
Billy, that will be in the minutes, so people will know what the nominations are and be prepared for the next meeting.
Okay, we have our nominees. I think that's all the business.
And the floor will be open for more nominees on February 9th.
Okay.
So as far as agenda items for next month, I do have my BMW Z3 up and running again, although I am still going to add another water pump to it, but I hope to have that installed by the next month's meeting. And if there's time, I could maybe do a walk around to the car and show people what the car looks like now.
Would you be able to report on your careful financial stewardship of that project? We like pretty pictures all the same.
It looks really spiffy now.
Excellent. Deb.
Yeah. Because I've got a couple of interesting meetings coming up this week that kind of relate to the club, but not. Because on Wednesday, tomorrow, I'll be meeting with the city of Bellevue to talk about their autonomous driving project. And then on Friday, I'm talking with a guy who's trying to set up a private Tesla supercharging station in the central neighborhood that he wants to run it by solar power. So we're trying to get details on what exactly this project is supposed to be, because he reached out to us through Twitter. And apparently we didn't ask the questions in the way he understood them to figure out exactly what this project is. So we have a meeting with 10 people in this meeting on Friday to try and figure out what this project is.
Interesting. If there's a will, there's a way, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that in the Central District in Seattle?
Yes. So it's at the corner of 21st and Union. Because he's owns or acquired a retired gas station he's trying to put Tesla superchargers into.
Okay, that sounds exciting.
But
I know, exactly.
Working with Tesla?
I don't know yet, because he never answered my question on it.
And a DC fast charger or a supercharger site would take a lot of solar that corner may not have, but we'll
exactly.
That sounds exciting. Tell us about it.
Well, yeah, and his solar array is on a trailer, so it's a portable solar array. So, yeah, so I don't think they totally understand what power is needed to charge an electric vehicle.
A destination charger. He can do a level 2 destination charger.
He wants to do fast DC charging, and it's like, well, okay, well,
good luck with that.
I know, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe he works at BNSF and he drives a train on his day job and
exactly.
put the solar panels.
Very well. It's like, yes, because he also has a food truck that he also parks at this location too. So when it's just like, yeah.
Well, it's right next to Ike, so it gets a lot of traffic. What was the city that's doing the autonomous conversation?
The city of Bellevue.
Oh, yeah.
That's their ACES project.
Yes.
So speaking of Tesla, Tesla does have some news this week too, because the new version of the Model Y is now available. You can get it with 7 seats, although I'm not sure how much room there's going to be in the back. It looks like it might be kind of tight. But then they also have the lower priced model that has about 240 miles of range, and it's a rear wheel drive car. So similar to the
3. Yeah.
the single motor Model 3, actually. I think starting at $42,000. So it's going to be definitely a more affordable SUV.
Excellent. And that solar power fast charging station may not be quite as ridiculous an idea as it sounds. The last round of Department of Commerce grants, I thought, included some solar and battery buffered DC fast chargers where the electrical infrastructure would not otherwise support it. It's a great concept that has not been used very much. City of Bellingham will have off-grid solar chargers at areas with higher use during summer travel months. And they got a $1.5 million grant from the state's Clean Energy Fund that was just announced in the past month. So there's a bunch of projects on there that I'm going to try to get some presentations on for the club.
Yeah, because he says he's got a grant from, let me look up the people here, that American Solar Energy Association, I think is what it is. Okay. And it's like to help with the solar power. But she's not able to join our meeting this Friday because she's got another meeting at the same time. But and it's like, yeah, and Seattle City Power, yeah, whatever. Seattle City Light. There we go. Will also be joining us on that meeting.
Okay. In the current round of Commerce grants, Seattle City Light got $600,000 to install battery integrated EV fast chargers in Belltown, primarily serving rideshare drivers.
Yeah, and it's like he doesn't say that he's got battery backup because I asked that question and they didn't answer me. So, so hopefully I'll have more information at the next meeting.
Things are happening. That's 9.8 million in EVSE that's going out across the state from this most recent round of grants.
Yeah, because he says he's only got room to put in 4 superchargers. So we'll see how that goes. He's trying to put them under the canopy where the gas pumps used to be.
Makes sense to me.
Yep. So we'll see.
May still have conduit in the ground. Just got to make sure you take all the fumes out.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. So the pumps are gone. Hopefully the tanks are gone too. So
just fill the tanks with batteries.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna say if the tanks aren't gone, we'll hear about it.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Well, thank you all.
Nice to see everybody for 2 seconds.
Yeah, nice to see everybody.
Okay. I'm gonna say good night. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, everybody. Cheers. And hello from Lady Whiteleaf and Sir Percival Tesla. They're fine. Wish they were driven more.